The bottle sitting in your medicine cabinet right now, the one you take every single morning because you think it's helping you, might be quietly working against you. And if you're over 60, the risk isn't small. Certain vitamins that were perfectly safe in your 40s can turn into a slow burden on your kidneys, your heart, and your bloodstream once your body crosses a certain age. In the next few minutes, I'm going to show you exactly which ones, why they change, and what to reach for instead. If you take a daily supplement without ever thinking twice about it, I want you to pause right now, because that habit you consider healthy could be the exact thing raising your blood pressure, straining your organs, or throwing your mineral balance out of order while you feel completely fine. And here's the part that genuinely worries me after decades of practice. Most people over 60 are taking at least one supplement their body no longer processes the way it used to. Not because the vitamin is evil, but because your physiology has changed and the label never mentioned that. I'm Dr. Alex Mitchell, and in the next several minutes, I'm going to walk you through 5 vitamins ranked from mildly concerning to genuinely risky for older adults. But I'm not going to leave you empty-handed. By the end, I'll tell you what your body actually needs after 60 and how to get it safely. Before we begin, do something for me. Go grab whatever supplements you currently take and set them in front of you, because in the next couple of minutes, I'm going to tell you if any of them belong on this list. And if you're over 60 or you're caring for a parent who is, what I'm about to explain isn't just interesting, it matters tonight. Let's start with number 5. Number 5 is one almost everyone assumes is harmless: vitamin C in high doses. For years, the message was simple. Feel a cold coming on? Take a big dose of vitamin C, no downside. And in a younger body, that's mostly true. Your kidneys flush the excess out without complaint. But here's what shifts after 60. Your kidney function naturally declines with age, even in people who feel perfectly healthy and have never been told anything is wrong. When you flood an aging kidney with megadoses of vitamin C, day after day, some of that vitamin gets converted into oxalate. And oxalate is the primary building block of kidney stones. You know that dull ache in your lower back you brush off as sleeping wrong? Or the discomfort you feel when you haven't had enough water? For some people over 60 who take high-dose vitamin C, that's the early whisper of stones forming. Research published in the American Journal of Kidney Diseases followed men taking supplemental vitamin C and found their risk of kidney stones nearly doubled. Not from food, from the pills. Here's what most people miss entirely. The vitamin C in an orange or a bell pepper is bound up with fiber and other compounds that slow its absorption. The vitamin C in a 1,000 milligram tablet hits your system all at once. Your aging kidneys weren't built for that flood. The good news is the fix is easy, and I'll give it to you at the end. But first you need to hear number 4, because this one is hiding in nearly every multivitamin marketed to seniors. Number 4 is iron, and this one surprises almost everybody because we've all been told iron makes you strong. Iron gives you energy. Iron fights fatigue. That's true if you're actually deficient. But here's the anatomy of the problem. Your body has no efficient way to get rid of excess iron. None. Once it's in, it stays, and it accumulates in your organs over time. In younger women, monthly blood loss keeps iron levels in check. After menopause, that natural release stops. And for most men over 60, iron levels have been slowly climbing for decades. So when an older adult takes a supplement loaded with iron they don't need, that extra iron begins depositing in the liver, the heart, and the pancreas. Over years, this contributes to inflammation, and researchers have linked iron overload to increased strain on the heart and a higher risk of certain cardiovascular problems. Here's the pattern I've seen again and again. Someone in their 60s feels a little tired, assumes they're low on iron, and starts taking an iron supplement without ever getting a blood test. No dramatic symptoms at first, but their iron stores were already normal, or even high, and now they're pushing them into dangerous territory. A study in the journal Circulation examined the relationship between iron stores and heart disease and found that higher body iron was associated with greater cardiovascular risk. Let me put it plainly. Unless a blood test has confirmed you are iron deficient, an older adult should almost never be taking a standalone iron supplement. If you commented or thought, "That's me," a moment ago, stay with me, because number 3 is even more common than iron. Number 3 is vitamin E, and specifically the habit of taking it as a high-dose, standalone supplement. This one had its golden years. Vitamin E was sold as the ultimate antioxidant, the anti-aging miracle, the heart protector. Millions of people over 60 started taking it precisely because they were told it would guard their hearts. But here's what the research actually revealed, and it stunned the medical community. High-dose vitamin E doesn't just fail to protect you. In older adults, it can quietly interfere with your blood's ability to clot. Think about how many people over 60 are already taking a blood thinner, or an aspirin a day, or a medication for their heart. Vitamin E in high doses amplifies that thinning effect. And running through your body every second is a delicate balance between bleeding and clotting. Push it too far in one direction, and a minor bump becomes a serious bruise, or worse, the risk of bleeding in the brain climbs. A large analysis published in the Annals of Internal Medicine reviewed high-dose vitamin E supplementation across many studies and found it was associated with a higher risk of death from all causes, not a lower one. Here's the everyday version of this. Someone takes their heart medication faithfully, then adds a high-dose vitamin E capsule they bought because a magazine called it heart healthy. They have no idea the two are working against each other inside their bloodstream. That combination doesn't announce itself. It shows up as a nosebleed that won't stop, or a fall that turns far more serious than it should have. But we're only at number 3. Number 2 is where I really need your full attention. Number 2 is vitamin A, and here I mean the pre-formed kind, found in a lot of older generation supplements and cod liver products. Vitamin A is essential, absolutely. It protects your vision, your skin, your immune system. But it's what we call a fat-soluble vitamin, and that phrase carries a warning most people never had explained to them. Fat-soluble means it doesn't wash out of your body the way vitamin C does. It stores itself in your liver and your fatty tissue. And as you age, your liver becomes less efficient at processing and clearing it. So an older adult taking a supplement heavy in preformed vitamin A, day after day, is slowly filling a tank that doesn't drain well. Over time, this builds toward toxicity. And here's the part that hits closest to home for anyone worried about their bones. Excess vitamin A has been linked to weaker bones and a higher risk of hip fracture in older adults. Think about that. A vitamin you're taking to stay healthy could be quietly undermining the very bones you're trying to protect. A study in the Journal of the American Medical Association found that women with higher intakes of preformed vitamin A had a significantly increased risk of hip fracture. That's the opposite of what most seniors are hoping for. And for someone already dealing with thinning bones, a single fall becomes a life-changing event. The pattern is subtle. Dry skin, headaches, joint aches, a little nausea that comes and goes. It gets blamed on age, but sometimes it's the slow accumulation of a vitamin the body can no longer manage. The adjustment is straightforward, and I'll cover it shortly. But first, we have to talk about number 1, because this one combines the biggest misunderstanding with the most widespread use. And if it applies to you, I want you to know before your next dose. Number 1 is calcium, taken in high doses as a standalone supplement. I know exactly why people over 60 reach for it. You've been told your whole life that calcium builds strong bones and prevents the osteoporosis that frightens every aging adult. So the logic feels airtight. More calcium, stronger bones, right? But this is the most important thing I'll tell you today. Where that calcium ends up depends entirely on other factors. And if it doesn't go into your bones, it goes somewhere far more dangerous. Here's what happens. When you swallow a large calcium supplement, your bloodstream absorbs a surge of it all at once. Your body can only direct so much of that into bone. The rest circulates. And in an aging body, especially one where the arteries have already begun to stiffen and collect plaque, that excess calcium can deposit directly into the walls of your blood vessels. This is called vascular calcification, and it makes your arteries rigid, narrow, and more prone to the events that lead to heart attacks and strokes. A study published in the medical journal Heart found that people taking high-dose calcium supplements had a notably higher risk of heart attack compared to those who got their calcium from food. Read that again. The pill meant to protect your bones may raise your heart risk, while the same mineral from food does not. Let me paint the picture. Someone diligently takes a big calcium supplement every morning, convinced they're defending their skeleton. Meanwhile, that unabsorbed calcium is settling into arteries that are already aging. There's no pain, no symptom, no warning. Then one day the consequence isn't silent anymore. This is why I get so passionate about this one. It's the supplement people trust most, taken by the very population most vulnerable to its downside. If you take only one thing away from this entire video, let it be this. Do not take high-dose standalone calcium without a real conversation with your doctor about whether you need it at all. Most people over 60 can get what they need from food, and food doesn't carry the same risk. Get your calcium from leafy greens, yogurt, sardines with the soft bones, and fortified foods, spread across the day so your body absorbs it gently. So those are the 5 to be careful with. But I never want to leave you feeling like you should throw out your entire cabinet and take nothing. That's not the answer either. So let me tell you what actually supports an aging body, starting with the one nutrient nearly every older adult truly does need. The first is vitamin D. And here's something most people don't realize. As you age, your skin becomes dramatically less capable of producing vitamin D from sunlight, sometimes producing only a fraction of what it made in your youth. At the same time, vitamin D is what allows your body to actually use calcium properly, guiding it into your bones instead of letting it wander into your arteries. Do you see the connection to number one? A lot of the calcium problem isn't too little calcium at all. It's too little vitamin D to put that calcium where it belongs. This is the nutrient that ties the whole picture together. But there's a right way to take it. Modest daily amounts, taken with a meal that contains some fat so your body absorbs it, and ideally with your levels checked by a simple blood test so you're not guessing. Get this one right and you support your bones and your heart at the same time. And there's a second nutrient that works hand in hand with it. The second is vitamin B12. This is one of the few supplements where the argument for older adults actually gets stronger with age, not weaker. Here's why. Your stomach needs to produce enough acid to pull B12 out of the food you eat. And as you get older, your stomach acid naturally declines, especially if you take common medications for reflux or heartburn. So even someone eating plenty of meat, eggs, and dairy can slowly slide into a B12 deficiency without realizing it. And this deficiency is sneaky because it masquerades as ordinary aging, memory that feels foggy, numbness or tingling in the hands and feet, fatigue, balance that feels off. People chalk it up to getting older, when a simple B12 correction could restore them. Because absorption is the issue, older adults often do better with a B12 supplement, or the form your doctor can advise on. This is the rare case where supplementing genuinely earns its place, and it can protect your nerves and your mind for the decades ahead. Have you spotted your own supplements in any of this yet? I genuinely like to know. Tell me in the comments which ones you're currently taking, because your answer might help someone else recognize a bottle they've never questioned. Now let me pull back and talk about why almost nobody hears this information, because it's not an accident. When you walk into a typical appointment, your doctor has a narrow window to check your labs, review your prescriptions, and address whatever brought you in that day. Supplements often sit in a blind spot. Many people never mention them, assuming that because you can buy them without a prescription, they must be harmless and not worth discussing. And here's the deeper issue. Supplements aren't regulated with anywhere near the strictness of medications. The dose on the label may not reflect what your aging body should actually receive. What was appropriate for the general adult population was rarely tested specifically on people over 60 with declining kidney function, stiffening arteries, and slower liver metabolism. That's the whole point I want you to walk away with. Your body at 65 is not simply an older version of your body at 35 running the same way. It processes, stores, and clears these nutrients differently. A supplement isn't good or bad in a vacuum. It's good or bad for a particular body at a particular age. And the empowering part, the part most health advice skips right over, is that you don't need anything expensive or complicated to protect yourself. You need awareness and one honest conversation. So here's exactly what I want you to do, starting today. First, gather every supplement you take, read the actual doses, and bring that list to your next appointment. Not a vague description, the real bottles or a photo of the labels. Second, ask your doctor a simple, powerful question. Which of these do I actually need at my age, and at what dose? Third, before you buy your next bottle, ask whether you could get that nutrient from food instead, because food almost always comes with a built-in safety margin that a concentrated pill does not. And finally, get a basic blood panel that includes your vitamin D and B12 levels, so your choices are based on what your body is truly missing rather than on marketing. You don't have to overhaul everything at once. Pick one thing this week. Maybe it's setting aside the high-dose calcium until you've talked to your doctor. Maybe it's finally getting your vitamin D level checked. Maybe it's swapping a standalone iron pill you were never told you needed for a simple blood test that tells you the truth. One change. Give it a little time, pay attention to how you feel, and let your next appointment build from there. By taking these few minutes to understand how your aging body handles these nutrients, you've already put yourself ahead of the vast majority of people who take their supplements on autopilot, trusting a label that was never written with them in mind. You now know something that rarely comes up in a rushed appointment, and it could protect your heart, your kidneys, and your bones for years to come. Now do me a favor and drop a comment telling me which of these 5 surprised you the most, or which one you're going to bring up with your doctor first. Your comment might be the nudge that makes a stranger rethink the exact bottle sitting in their cabinet. And if this gave you information you'd never heard before, share it with someone over 60 you care about, a parent, a friend, a spouse. Because this is the kind of thing that never comes up until it's too late. And here's why you'll want to stick around for what's next. In my next video, I'm going to reveal 5 everyday foods that quietly support brain health and memory after 60, the kind of protection people spend a fortune chasing in pills. And here's the twist. You almost certainly have 2 or 3 of them in your kitchen right now, but you're eating them at the wrong time of day to get the benefit. This is the kind of practical, research-based information that rarely makes it into a standard appointment, and it could genuinely change how sharp and clear you feel in the years ahead. So make sure you don't miss it. Until then, take a good, honest look at what you're taking, ask the right questions, and take care of the one body you've got. I'm Dr. Alex Mitchell, and I'll see you in the next one.